The Chiefs have so much talent at wide receiver that some guys won't make the team. They've got receivers like Tyquan Thornton and Jason Brownlee and Nico Remigio, and a couple guys that might be on the outside looking in, like Skyy Moore and Elijah Badger. But what if I told you that after the first preseason game and a little bit of insider information, that one wide receiver is almost a lock to make this final roster? But if you guys are new to this channel, my name is Michael Darcy and you're watching the KC Sports Report. Do me a big time favor and hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more daily Chiefs coverage. Now, as you guys can see, I'm in a little bit of a different setup for this video. I'm in northern Minnesota for the next 3 to 4 days, so you guys are going to see all of these videos broadcasted from the cabin. But in this video, I wanted to talk about one wide receiver that has impressed all offseason, in training camp, in the preseason, and that guy is none other than wide receiver Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton has been maybe the highlight of the offseason for the Chiefs. Outside of Josh Simmons, he has been the most talked about offensive player, and that says a lot. And this is a guy that got signed to the Chiefs practice squad last year, and we didn't really have any expectations that he could make this team. But he has absolutely balled out in OTAs, in training camp, in the preseason, making highlight catch after highlight catch, and has just looked unbelievable. And I think that what makes this case of the hype different than previous guys like Justin Ross, I truly believe that Tyquan Thornton has a role within this Chiefs offense. And what I mean by that is the Chiefs have Xavier Worthy, and he is capable of stretching the field. But they also have Tyquan Thornton, who can almost play that MVS role, where he can stretch the field and open up the offense for guys like Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce underneath. And I think that what's great about this is Tyquan Thornton was a failed second-round pick. He went to New England and struggled there. Part of that was due to just, his lack of performing. But let's be honest, the Patriots have had so many quarterbacks in that offense that it makes sense why he was never able to truly catch on in the league. But with that being said, Tyquan Thornton in New England was still a more productive wide receiver than Skyy Moore. And the Chiefs were able to get him on their team, and he's had an off season with this offense, learning the ropes, gaining chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. And I truly believe that he has, a role in this offense, and I believe that he's going to make this roster. I've basically been told by some people that are very close within the organization that Tyquan Thornton is a lock to make this team. And another reason why I'm so confident that he's a good fit is in New England, he was, asked to be the number one wide receiver, to be the top pass catching option for, whether it was, I don't know if Mac Jones was the quarterback at the time, but, Drake May just came onto the scene. Before that, they had a bunch of different guys. Bailey Zappi was another guy that threw the football to Tyquan Thornton, and he's the Chiefs' practice squad quarterback right now. So he never had that stability at the quarterback position, and he's going to be asked to be the Chiefs' number 6 wide receiver. And I think that's a perfect role for him because the expectation is to, stretch the field with his vertical speed, but we don't need you to completely carry this offense. That's Rashee Rice's job. That's Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy's job. Travis Kelce is going to be more responsible to, produce in this offense. And I think that Tyquan Thornton's role, anything that he gives you, that's a bonus. What he can do is stretch the field, take a defender with him, and it's going to allow guys like Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce to eat underneath. And it's going to make this offense better. And so I think as a number 6 wide receiver, he is a very good option. In fact, I think that he could have a very productive season, and it might not be in the traditional, statistical sense, but if you see guys like, Rice and Brown and Kelce go off for big seasons, it's probably going to be because Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton stretched the field with their speed and made the stuff underneath way more available for Patrick Mahomes. But I do want to talk more about where Tyquan Thornton might fit in this offense in a reasonable stat line, and we'll do that right after this ad break. This video is sponsored by the great people over at DM Injury Law. Injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation, but you gotta act fast. Rely on the experienced personal injury attorneys at DM Law, Kansas City and Missouri's top injury law firm. DM Law is a full-service personal injury practice supported by a large team of investigators, case managers, medical records specialists, and more. And best of all, you don't pay unless they win. DM Law operates on a contingency fee basis, so no fees unless they win your case. And they also provide free consultations. So if you've been injured, don't wait. You can contact DM Law today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you pursue the compensation you deserve. Let them handle the fight while you focus on recovery. Hurt in a car wreck? Call Mike. Remember, Mike's got this. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisement. Thanks to DM Injury Law for sponsoring this video. Huge thanks to the sponsors that have supported this channel all off-season long. Now, getting back into the main portion of this video, what are reasonable expectations for Tyquan Thornton? Now, there's some Chiefs fans out there that think that, he can go for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's highly unrealistic. I think Tyquan Thornton is a guy that you'd be thrilled if he gave you 400 yards receiving and a couple touchdowns. I think that his touchdown numbers could be a little bit higher because he's someone that, is going to be the target on a lot of passes downfield. And so he might, run into a couple touchdowns, but don't expect him to be a huge producer in terms of receiving yards. He's someone that's probably going to get, anywhere from, I want to say 30 to 40 catches. Maybe that could be generous, but I think that, when you've got Xavier Worthy, who kind of does the same thing, they're both going to be fighting for those downfield targets. But I think that what's great about both of them is if Rashee Rice is able to, come back from that suspension, which we don't know how many games he's going to be gone yet, but if he's able to come back and produce, more people are going to guard him, up in the slot, and that's going to open up the downfield passes for Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to have his pick between Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton, and it's going to make this offense better, and hopefully the Chiefs are going to become more explosive this season. That was one thing that Patrick Mahomes stressed in his recent presser. They want to throw the ball downfield. They believe that their playmakers are better and can go make a play. I personally think that Tyquan Thornton is a playmaker that just hasn't had the right circumstances around him. He's someone that if he had Patrick Mahomes throwing him the football for his entire career, he's probably a much better receiver on paper and thought of a very different way. And in the first preseason game, he had that one catch for 15 yards for Gardner Minshew, and it kind of was just a small taste of what we can expect this season. But I do think that you can't teach that kind of speed. Tyquan Thornton is someone that is going to consistently get open downfield, and Patrick Mahomes is going to love that. I think that Matt Nagy and Andy Reid can really find a smart role to utilize him. And I think that if he gives you 500 yards, even 300 yards, and a couple of touchdowns as your wide receiver 6, who's really complaining? Again, you don't really expect much from your wide receiver 6. And in previous seasons, it's been guys like Skyy Moore and Justin Ross. And those guys do not have the talent of Tyquan Thornton. And Thornton's also made more plays in training camp and in the preseason than Skyy Moore really ever has. Skyy Moore was in that preseason game, the same game that Tyquan Thornton played in, and was a non-factor. So I'm tired of, waiting for him to come around. I think that the Chiefs are tired of waiting for him to come around. I think Tyquan Thornton is the guy that is going to make this team over him, and for good reason. I think he offers you something, and if he plays that MVS role, the Chiefs are going to be in really good shape. And that's something that I try to tell people, that because there's a lot of Patriots fans that say, oh, Tyquan Thornton has always done this. He looks great, and then in the actual games, he just doesn't show up. He's playing with Patrick Mahomes now. Patrick Mahomes has elevated really bad wide receivers, and he's won Super Bowls. Like, Kadarius Toney was a wide receiver that, played a huge factor. Skyy Moore caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So did MVS. So the notion that he could not use a guy with the skill set of a Tyquan Thornton is just foolish. Like, Thornton's younger than Rashee Rice, and so he still has a ton of potential. It just hasn't been unlocked yet. And I think that, the Chiefs are the perfect place for a wide receiver to turn their career around. And so I'm super excited to see what we might see from Tyquan Thornton this season. I personally believe that he is a lock to make this final roster. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Tyquan Thornton's going to make this final 53? Do you think that Skyy Moore finds his way on the roster? I don't. Do you think that, Jason Brownlee ends up, on the roster, on the practice squad? I think Jason Brownlee's showing you more than Skyy Moore. He had that great, back shoulder catch that he kind of had to leap for, and it was not an easy catch by any means in the preseason game. And hopefully he finds his way back on the practice squad. But I really do think that Tyquan Thornton, as your number 6 wide receiver, makes this team better. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. That's all I've got for this video, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe for more daily Chiefs content. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. And as always, go Chiefs.